Hello and welcome to another of our series of Inkscape Basics, and in this one we're going to show you how to put text onto a path. And in fact this time we'll be using a circle, so I'll create a circle. So circle tool, and I'm going to hold Control down, which gives me a circular circle rather than an ellipse. Okay, now I want that to be just an outline, so I'm going to click on the none under the colour bar and that will give me a hollow circle. Okay, I want some text, so I'm going to get the text tool and I'm going to write. Now generally it's good practice to use capitals if you're putting text on circles and things. It just looks better because otherwise the descenders from the Y's and the G's and the ascending parts of the letter T's and L's make it look quite scrappy. Okay, so I'm going to select them both. So I've got one selected, hold shift down and click on the other. So they're both selected, and I simply go to the text menu and put on path. And there we've got it's put on a path. So I want to get that on the top, so I'm going to click on the circle. I'm going to click a second time, so I get the rotate handles and move that so it's roughly on the top. I want to get it more precise than that, so I'm just going to drag down a guideline. So you do that just by clicking on the ruler and dragging. I can just return it to the ruler to get rid of it, or you can select it. And so now I can see that that's slightly missed. So I'm going to click on the circle second time to get the rotate handles and just adjust it a little bit. Okay, that's quite nice. Okay, so now I'm going to lock that. So the moment with the circle, if I do anything to the circle, the text will adapt to it. And actually you can see here where the curves are really quite tight at the left and right edges, the text is looking really horrible. So it's best with circles to have quite a gentle curvature. It just makes the text look more readable. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Now I'm going to take my text and to disconnect it from the circle, then I'm going to have to turn it from a text object into a path. So make sure you've got your spell checks and everything done first, because once we do this there's no going back unless you've taken a copy, which would be good practice. Okay, so there's our text on a path, and now that's a separate object. Now I'm going to create some more text on the path. So, okay, do that, select the path again, and I'm going to do exactly the same. So text, put on path. Now this time I want it to be on the inside of the circle. Well, I'll show you the problem. So just deselect both and just get the circle. If I take a second time to rotate, it's effectively going the wrong way round to be readable. If you look at most logos, that will be written left to right. So I can change that by flipping objects vertically. And now the problem I've got is it's on the inside of the circle, not the outside of the circle. So the easiest solution to this is click on the circle. So click on the circle. So we've got the scaling bars there, scaling handles, and I'm just going to stretch this handle out now so it's the right position for it's matching the top of the text at the top. Okay, that's pretty good. There's a slight problem here now, is the spaces between the letters on the top were stretched out and the spaces on the letters on the bottom have been contracted. So I'm just going to go into the text tool, and on the control bar for the text tool we have these extra controls which aren't available from the sidebar that we looked at before. So what I need to do is this third one along, which is kerning. So I've clicked in there. I'm going to use the mouse wheel. Now the mouse wheel is adjusting by 0.01 of a pixel at a time, which is ridiculously small. So I'm going to hold Control down and that'll do 0.1, so 10 times, and we can now, if I use the mouse wheel, I can see that space increasing. I can also use Control and the left and right arrow. So the right arrow in this case is increasing the space, and I'm using the arrow keys to move from letter to letter, and then Alt arrow to increase the space. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's really, but if you're doing this properly, then take some time to be really happy that the text at the bottom and the text at the top sort of match each other. Okay, and then when I've got that right and I've done my spell check, I go to Path, Object Path, and now when I click on it at the bottom it says it's a group of 10 objects, so it's gone from text to objects. And then what I'm simply going to do now is create a ring underneath these to make it look more like logos that you might find in popular coffee shops and things like that. So I'm going to take this circle, I'm going to make it bigger. So again, Control and Shift. So Shift makes it scale around the center point. Okay, that's made that bigger. I'm now going to duplicate it. So this is a case where the duplicate function is far better than cut and paste or copy and paste, because if you copy and paste it, where you paste it will be wherever the mouse pointer is. Whereas with duplicate, which can be on the right click menu, duplicate, or as you can see there, Control D. I use Control D because I use duplicate a lot. It has it exactly over the previous one, which as long as you know it's there, it's great. Otherwise you might end up with several copies of things on top of each other. And now I can simply shrink it down, again using Shift and Control as I drag it in, and they're concentric circles. And now I'm going to use the middle one to cut a hole in the outer one. So I'll demonstrate this. I'm going to give the outer one a fill colour, and I'm going to give the inner one a fill colour. So you can see the inner one is on top, and the order is really important. If they're not in the right order, because it's the top one that is the tool that cuts the hole in the other. These tools here on the menu will change the order of objects, but generally whatever you've created last is on top. So I've got those both selected, and I go to the Path menu and Difference, and that makes one subtract from the other. So that's looking pretty good to me. I'm going to change that blue colour to something less ghastly, something a little bit more subtle, and maybe change the text to white. That's looking quite nice. Get rid of the guideline, so I've just highlighted it and press delete. Now down small I think that looks pretty good, but when I zoom in I think I've made a bad choice of font, and the reason is this particular font, Serifa, it has what they call slab serifs, and they really emphasize how horizontal the text is, and that sort of fights against the curvature, so that INK sort of looks really clunky. So if it's small or can be seen from a distance, it's not an issue, but actually getting your fonts right might be something worth doing if you're going to do text on a path. Okay, so that's all I've got to show you for this session. Hope you enjoyed it and found it useful, and we'll see you in another one.